Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going over a historic deck, Abzan Yawg, and ignore the fact that it's 62 cards. I've got a couple cards here on the deck list that I want to talk about that aren't actually part of the deck, and I've got to make sure to enunciate properly this video because I got some feedback on my last one that I was not enunciating properly, so I'm going to make sure to be doing that. And if you've got any sort of feedback that you think would be helpful for me, then make sure to let me know in the comments. Trying to make the best videos I can, and so any sort of constructive criticism is, of course, helpful for me. Also, real quick, I just want to say this is my first video which doesn't have an in-depth deck guide associated with it. No Patreon-related content here, but it's because I'm starting this series over the next couple of days. I'm going to be uploading videos on all of the best historic decks, I think, for the qualifier, and then I will write a guide on the one I'm going to go with, probably like a couple of days before I'll be done with that or so. But I just want to play a bunch of different decks and kind of show you guys all the kind of things you can do in historic and what the best decks are. And I'm also offering coaching. So if you want to kind of hone your skills with a particular deck, or you want to some help figuring out what exactly you're going to play, really just anything to help you do well in the qualifier weekend that's come up in like 8 days or so, let me know. I've got a tier for it in my Patreon linked in the description. So let's get into the deck tech. Basically, this is a combo deck built around Yawg Thran Physician. Now, I'm sure many of you are not going to be surprised by this, as I make a lot of content on Yawg decks, and I do really love these kind of combo decks in general. And Yawg basically 4 mana 2/4 lets you stack creatures to draw cards and put a -1/-1 counter on target creature. And so the main combo with Yawg is with Young Wolf. With Young Wolf, if you got 2 of them, you can sack the first one. Basically, you end up in a board state where you've got one with a counter and one without. So you sack the one without a counter, it comes back with a counter. The other one, you target with the Yawg, so the counter gets removed. You draw a card, and you still have a Young with a counter and Young Wolf without. So you just get to basically move the counter back and forth, drawing a card, lose a card, and losing life each time. So it's basically a build your own Yawg bargain, and then you can throw an Innkeeper to draw your deck, and Marionette to kill your opponent. Innkeeper, of course, lets you gain life whenever a creature ETBs. And Marionette deals your opponent damage whenever a creature dies, and each iteration a Young Wolf dies and the Young Wolf enters the battlefield. So those two will do the trick. And other than that, we've got a bunch of cheap creatures. So we've got mana production in terms of Gilded Goose and Avon's Pilgrim are our 1 mana dorks. Avon's Pilgrim is the only dork. It helps us reach enough white sources and taps for Role Plan Attendant. This could be a copy of Llanowar Elves, but the idea is that when you have a Llanowar Elf, you already got green mana because you managed to cast it. So generally, white mana is going to be more about relevant. And Avzan's Pilgrim convokes for green for Cord anyway. And then we've got Gilded Goose, which taps for any color. Food tokens are kind of useful for regaining life, and it's just I found it to be better than copies of a Llanowar Elf, especially since this deck, since it convokes a lot, it doesn't actually need to tap the Goose for mana too often. So you tap for once for mana, and then you can convoke it in the future. It doesn't matter that you don't have any food. And then, of course, the E4 Young Wolf. Now, in terms of our 2-drops, we've got for Marionette Apprentice, which is something new I'm trying out in this deck. A lot of lists aren't running any copies of Marionette, or only a couple. And I'll get into why exactly in a second. But this card's pretty powerful. Team in a 1/2, you're basically never fabricating on, or putting a counter on it. You're usually making 1/1, but it's 2 bodies, and it's a win condition. Kind of fills the same role as Bowmasters in terms of just being 2 bodies for 2 mana. We've also got Prosperous Innkeeper. This card is really strong, especially now that Bowmaster is no longer played. 2 mana 1/1 gains life whenever a creature ETBs, so it's a soul warden type effect, and then you also get a treasure, which is pretty good. And we've got a place of Role Plan Attendants, which is one of the core pieces of this deck. It perpetually gives all the creatures in your hand whenever ETB you make a 1/1. So this is just a great way to make a ton of creatures. The curve of 1-drop Dork into Rope Line plus a 1-drop make another creature is super strong, and lets you convoke up to 2 even Knight Errant if Eos is on turn 2, and just make a ton of creatures, which is great with Yawg and Knight Errant Venos, which I'll get to in a second. But also Rope Line Attendant in conjunction with Yawg, and Young Wolf. If you get the effect on Young Wolf, then you'll be able to sacrifice the Young Wolf. It comes back to the counter, and you get a 1/1. You can sack the 1/1 to remove the counter off Young Wolf. So basically, your Young Wolf goes infinite with himself instead of needing 2 Young Wolves, which is pretty powerful, and it comes up actually a fair bit. We got 1 of Eldritch Evolution and 1 of Hapatra. Hapatra is great with Yawg. because you basically get to get a creature back whenever you put a -1/-1 counter on something, so you can activate Yawgmoth as many times as you can put -1/-1 creatures counters on your opponent's creatures, and you can maybe put a counter on Hippolyta as well to draw some extra cards. Eldritch Evolution, we have 13 2-drops, so I figured this build has so many 2-drops and so reliant on Yawg that running on one of Evo is fine. Most Yawg decks have stopped running Evo, even though it used to be a core part of the deck. It's actually just like, it's getting power creeped a bit. But I think this build in specific can make pretty good use of it for Yawgmoth, you know, the namesake. And then we've got a Placeholder of Narrative Eos, and this card is really powerful. It and Court of Calling make the Convoke part of the deck, and that's why Roleplan is so good. 5 and a 4/4, but you're usually tapping as many creatures as possible because it's got Convoke. And you look at the top 6 and get 2 creatures with mana value X or less, the X number of creatures you convoke this. So actually, if you convoke the full 5, your Knight Errant of Eos can find up to 2 more Knight Errant of Eoses, so they can actually chain each other together, as well as find your Yawgmoths, maybe find a Young Wolf if you're missing that, or a Mana Dork to get up to 4 mana, really whatever you're looking for. So really, really powerful card, and lets you just actually play a fair game plan where you just attack your opponent, because you can get like 1 or 2 of these down on turn 3 along with a bunch of other creatures and start swinging. It can be pretty scary. And then we've got Court of Callings, mainstay for these creature combo style decks. And it's especially good in this one because we're so good at making creatures between Marionette and Ropeline. We have a lot of ways to make 2 bodies. And so this, with 7 creatures and or mana, you get to get a Yawgmoth, which is the main use case, but also you can do it for X=1 to get a Young Wolf, and during the combo turn, even if you're tapped out, you can use this to get an Innkeeper or an Apprentice to win the game. And actually, a lot of lines involve going like Court of Calling for Innkeeper to get enough treasure to then get down a Marionette Apprentice from your hand or something like that, because you generally want both Innkeeper and Apprentice. Unless you have more life than your opponent, you're going to need both to actually be able to do the whole Blood Rush thing and kill them. Since we have 4 Innkeepers and 4 Apprentices, I've decided not to run a Blood Artist, but it does mean that if you want to kill your opponent that has more life than you, you do need both of them in play. And then onto the mana base, I mean, pretty stock, 22 lands, and the mana requirements for this deck are really difficult. So this mana base has 14 white, 14 black, 20 green. 2 non-green lands is basically the upper limit because you do need a lot of green mana with this deck. You need triple green for Cord, and sometimes you're missing green creatures. You also often want to like play multiple green 1 or 2 drops in a turn. You can go like, for example, Avon's Pilgrim into Ropeline plus Young Wolf. You're going to need 2 green for that. So drawing more than 1 concealed courtyard can be pretty awkward. And then other than that, all of our lands stop recruiting. We got for Mana Confluence just to make the meeting the required number of sources for everything easier. A bit of a painful mana base, which is especially punishing in a Yawgmoth deck specifically because your life total is a resource. But it's just kind of a necessary evil. So yeah, let's move on to these 3. Sorin, Onslaught, Pride, and Guide of Souls. And these are cards I'm not running. So Kapala, which is he's a really strong player, plays Abzan Yawg a ton in Historic. And he's been playing lists with Guide of Souls and Pride and Sorin. And I don't love these cards. And so I'm trying out a new build here, which has been pretty good for me. I think I'm like 4-0 on ladder with it right now. Just getting some practice before I started recording. But Guide of Souls, it's a pretty strong card, right? But it just does the thing of being a life gain effect, like Prosperous Innkeeper. But I think the treasure from Prosperous Innkeeper is just simply more important. I can see this as like a fine one of, since sometimes you need to Cord X=1. But I wanted to just commit to the Marionette Apprentice plus Eldritch Evolution of this build, so I decided to cut down on it. Even though it's like a fine card, probably of these 3 my favorite maybe, but still just I think a little too weak because the treasure from Prosperous Innkeeper really carries it, and actually putting counters and attacking doesn't come up too often. Though putting a counter on the Knight Errant and swinging for 6 is fine. Now Onslaught Pride is a card that's I think a bit divisive for me because a lot of people have been saying it's really good, and I actually don't like it that much. My main issue is that against Boros aggro, it doesn't actually do much because it just gets blocked, and if you make like 1 or 2, you're going to win the game with Yawgmoth, and so that doesn't actually matter that much. And then against Control, sure, maybe it's like you get it down on turn 1, and it's like an army and a cannon, and I have to spend a Wrath on it alone. But usually what's going to happen is you get like Onslaught Pride down, make a couple more tokens, make this big wide board, and you get Wrathed, and it just accomplished nothing. I think I want my 1-ups to be able to generate mana so I can get down Yawgmoth, or be combo pieces, and this kind of does neither, so it doesn't really fit in the deck. That's my main issue with it. Of course, it's good with Innkeeper, but we don't actually have that many sources of life gain. And so when I'm cutting Guide of Souls, especially, also Pride gets worse. Also, there's not really room to play a full playset of Prides, but it is a card that gets better in multiples. So running like 2 to 3 just seems a little weird. So yeah, I don't know. I'll do more testing with it, but for now, I'm trying how to build without it. And then of course, Sword Morkov, also another powerful card. Can be a win condition instead of Marionette Apprentice, because you can gain a life with Innkeeper, get a bunch of life with Innkeeper, and then cord for it, and get it down and flip it and kill your opponent with the -1. But I found it to also be a little underwhelming. Basically, all of these cards, my issue with them is they play a mediocre fair game plan, but they don't actually support the combo very much. And especially game 1, this deck I just don't think can really function as a fair deck. Knight Errant helps, and like sometimes you can jake your opponent out if they've boarded a bunch of graveyard hate and stuff like that. But mostly, I think you play the fair game plan if you get like real plan into double Knight Errant and just have like 15 power on turn 3 or 4, or you're just playing a Yawgmoth game plan. And even when you have a bunch of power, you're usually just gonna go eventually find the Yawgmoth and kill your opponent. Because, stuff like Boros Energy and Jeskai Control. I mean, Boros Energy can outgo wide basically anything you can do, and Jeskai Energy can, Jeskai Control can just wrath the board. So that's my main issue with these cards. But they're all pretty powerful. I mean, Sorin, you can flip it and like grind up your opponent out. I just have decided to go with a Marionette Apprentice build because I think it fits better into the combo aspect of the deck. You get multiple bodies, and it's a win condition, so it's easier to clear your opponent with Yawg. It's also easier to complete your opponent if you like play multiple Yawgs. So yeah, that's my spiel on these three. But definitely still tinkering with this deck. So yeah, we'll go into the sideboard now. Sideboard, we've got 3 Fatal Push and 4 Juggernaut Peddler. So this card, removal spells for stuff like Boros Energy, Aggro-X, and Peddler, like a Thoughtseize type effect, hand disruption against control decks and combo decks, stuff like that. Juggernaut Peddler is really, really strong, and Fatal Push is like the most efficient manner of disruption in terms of killing creatures. So that's half the sideboard right there. And then the rest of this is just 2 targets. So Hammer Might for artifacts and enchantments. Sun Cleanser are actually 2 of them because it is really good against Boros Energy. You can basically shut off a lot of their removal spells and their Amp Raptors and stuff like that, because you can just remove all the energy from them, and I can also kill Najani by removing the 3 loyalty. 1 Scavenging is just some Graveyard Hate, Phyrexian Revoker, because it, sometimes you need to like name a Bombardment or a Belcher or something like that. Comes up, and having a cord target that has that kind of effect is very valuable in certain matchups. Like Evaporation, this can answer Graveyard Hate and creatures, stuff like that. One of the upsides to playing White, honestly, is just getting to play Skyclave. This card is really powerful. It's a lot better than the other effects of that nature, in my opinion. When there aren't like permanents above 4 mana that you need to kill, this is just the best way to do it. And at the moment, there aren't really any permanents above 4 mana you need to kill, except maybe like Teferi. So I think Skyclave Evaporation is a great card. Plague Mare, one of against Boros Energy, can just sweep the board and kill all their 1/10 creatures, like the Ocelot Prize and whatnot. Oh, speaking of, actually, I forgot to mention something about Sun Cleanser. It's actually also good against Jeskai Control, because it also stops Wrath of the Skies. If you can cord for this in response to Wrath of the Skies, they won't get the energy, they won't be able to kill anything. So that's also one of the upsides of this card. Is not only good against Boros Energy, but also Jeskai Control. So I've actually even seen some lists main decking it. And then the last card to roll out the sideboard is a 1 of Eladamri, Corvectol. This card, just a grindy engine, Elven Chorus type thing that you can cord for. I bring it in against like control decks and stuff like that, and it's pretty nice to just cord for on their end step and then untap and start casting creatures. Can definitely get you some pretty good value. So yeah, that'll do it for the sideboard. And yeah, basically this, I'm trying to start a new video series here. That isn't going to go on for too long, but just over the next couple days, week or so, up until the Historic Qualifier, I'm just going to be going over a bunch of decks that I have been playing that I think are good, and then I'll make a full in-depth deck guide for my Patreon for whatever deck I do end up playing, which honestly, a decent chance it'll be Abzan Yawg, but I've got some other stuff cooking. So definitely keep your eyes peeled on that. Link in the description for my Discord, Patreon, and also make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And yeah, let's get into the games. Alright, starting off with a fashionable hand. 2-mana Dorks does help the 1-lander, but there's not really much incentive to keep it because we don't actually have a payoff, so I think it's... Oh dear, well, we're sending this one back as well, since we just cannot cast a single spell. The Courtyard is kind of a punish here. I would have kept this hand otherwise, but it is what it is. Alright, this is reasonable. This is reasonable. I think I want to send back Cord. Oh my god, not having white mana without Knight Errant in a creature makes it worse, but we're so far away from cording for something. I think it's gotta be this. This is salvageable. For sure. Oh, that's helpful. So yeah, so we're gonna go Knight Errant on 3, get some 2-drops. Alright, I mean, you know, if we top deck a Yawg or a Cord. So this is probably some sort of, oh, I guess I still just want to play Innkeeper so I can gain the life. Wait, why did I shock in the Temple Guard? I could have just played the Blue Marsh, wasn't really paying attention. This is probably a Shifting Woodland deck if I had to guess. Yep. Okay, well. There you go. Because that's like the only deck that really plays Bitter Union generally. Unfortunately, I didn't play the Blue Marsh when I should have again, so I'm gonna need to sack the treasure for white mana. But it's fine. Yawgmoth? Yawgmoth. And 1-drop, so not punished. Nice. Well, we have a decent chance of winning the game next turn. I mean, they can't Shifting Woodland kill us this turn unless they make an Omni after turning on Delirium, because they don't have enough mana to make it into a creature and then attack, and it's weird that they're playing Ulamog. They've got to be like playing Emperor of Bones or something, or oh, okay, so yeah, Godfarer's Gift. Some way to like get it back with haste. Because copying it with Woodland isn't that impressive. Right, you need some way to get it you need some way to get it to come into play with a bunch of counters so you can annihilate your opponent for a bunch. So I'm like a little scared here, but also not that scared. Second Fable, sure. Interesting to see if they attack the Shaman here for the treasure. It's a bad sign if they do, because it means they really need that mana for something good. Okay, there's the Wolf. That's actually really, really, really excellent draw. I'm gonna wait on the land drop, I suppose. I don't think it really matters, but I'm definitely sacking a bunch of creatures, including these tapped mana dorks. So let's get cracking. I guess I'll sack my tap creatures first because of board calling. I do have 2 untapped green creatures plus a green land to play, and if I find one, that is just game. Well, that's actually perfect. So I'm gonna cord for 2, and I'm gonna get a Hapatra. It doesn't actually matter what I get, but Hapatra I think is gonna do the trick the quickest probably. Because I can make untapped snakes, so if I find a second cord at some point, then I can cord for a second marionette to speed things up. But yeah, that'll do it. Opponent has had enough. So yeah, really just need that one young wolf to start drawing you towards the cord. Deece. All right. Against this deck, what do you even want to do? I'm like kind of unsure what my opponent has, so that's a little worrying. Hailwater Might has to be good. Scavenging Ooze has to be good. Marionette can come out. One Knight Errant maybe. Well, they're not gonna have too much interaction, which makes it better. Maybe like 2 Marionette. I'm not sure if I want Juggernauts and like board down on Knight Errants. Maybe I want to board out 1 Knight Errant because it doesn't seem like it actually does that much. The body is like completely irrelevant basically, and I need to kind of go fast, so it doesn't seem that good. Knight Errant is a card that I will trim, and then I don't know. Maybe I want like the thing is, if they've got like a ton of looting effects, then the Juggernaut Pedal isn't as good. So my guess isn't that I actually don't really want it. This hand is fine. I just could go Wolf into Innkeeper to hopefully something else into Cord for Yawg. But I can also Cord for a Scooze or something if I need to. So I got some nice optionality. For some reason my opening hands have been interesting recently. This deck. Oh, most of 5. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I take it back. No complaining. My opponent's hands are more interesting than mine. Their turn to multi-5. Yeah. I'll take it. It's gonna get Godfarer's Gift. I wonder if they have like some way to get it back. That would not surprise me. Can't think of like. I mean, they can copy it with Woodland, of course. I guess. Oh, that's probably the idea, actually. Yeah, there's the Fable. I mean, so yeah, pretty ideal start for them despite the multi-5. Oh, that's actually not bad here. So, do I want to leave up the ability to chord for Ooze? I don't think so, right? Like, they can't, like, how would they be able to kill me from here? I think I would rather Knight Errant and A, is more creatures for chord, B, if I can find a Yawg, that's just game. No, but Patra and Viz and Marionette also just, yeah. So I can play these two next turn, chord for Yawg, and that's game. That'll be 2 turn 4 kills, assuming nothing goes wrong. Which, you know, it could for sure. Opponent's got a bit of a scary deck here, but I'm just hoping that it's a little too low for us. We'll see. I mean, if they can get some like fatty in play and make us like sack a bunch of permanents, then that's not great. But like, I don't really see how you would do that from here. But it's also entirely possible to have like some random card I don't know about. Okay, well, so not really close to Delirium at least. That part's nice. So now I'm mostly just hoping to dodge like some sort of removal spell, or maybe like they have a Brotherhood's End. I would not like that. They have some things that they could do that would be problematic, but not sure exactly what. Tapland is a good start. Doesn't seem like they have it. Yeah, alright. Oh, well, they attack. Ooh, I mean, maybe I am worried about Brotherhood's End. I guess I won't block because of that. Or like Anger of the Gods or whatever. Like, they could easily have a deal 3 Wrath, and then if I block the 2/2, then I just randomly lose the Knight. Okay, they didn't, but I wanted to make that play because it just doesn't matter. If I get to do the thing, if I get to resolve this chord, even if they kill something in response, I'm still gonna be able to win pretty easily. So I just want to play around like the worst case scenario, and I think the worst case scenario in this case is they just have a deal 3, and then keeping that knight is actually really important at that point. So let's chord for 4. 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I just want to make sure this, yeah. Knight aren't untapped. I would rather have a green creature untapped. No, maybe this is fine actually, because I can block with it. And I'm not gonna be able to chord. I'm either I can make a bunch of untapped creatures with Hapatra. Green creatures with Hapatra anyway. So assuming I get to keep the Hapatra. Okay, they scoop it up. Nice. Yeah, a good example of how this deck can just win really quickly. Alright, starting off here with a pretty solid hand. We could go turn 2 Ropeline and turn 3 Marionette plus Knight Errant, if I'm counting correctly. Let me check my math on that. So 1 creature, 2, 3, 4 creatures plus some mana on turn 3. Yeah, so this should work. Looks like we're against Jessica Control here, which is definitely the most difficult matchup of the most played decks for Yawg. I think figuring out the Jessica Control matchup is really what's holding me back from just locking in this deck, because, you know, when your opponent doesn't have creatures, it does make Yawg worse, and all the counter spells and wraths get pretty annoying. But I think we should be doing fine here. Opponent's just cycling a land, not doing really much here. Getting off the rope line, I mean, this is so much value. Look how many 1/1s we're going to be making. I think we're just going to go, like, Marionette into Knight Errant or something like that, and then, or maybe actually Prosperous Keeper. And then after that, if they Wrath, then it's fine, because we still have, like, a bunch of cards in hand, and they're kind of forced to have a bunch of creatures in play. So yeah, let's think. So I could go Innkeeper plus Marionette into Knight Errant. I would not be surprised if Knight Errant got countered. We got Invert Polarity, they'd get a 4/4 sometimes. That's not really a big deal, though. But I think it doesn't make sense to go for Yawgmoth, I don't think. And I think I'd rather play Innkeeper than Marionette, for the reason that if they Wrath, they get to keep the treasure. Well, actually, it depends. If they're Wrath, guys, I don't get to keep the treasure, and that's fine. But these lists generally also run some number of Supreme Verdicts, so I think it's best to hedge against that. Yeah, Knight Errant resolves. You know, that's not surprising. I mean, I would assume that they have a Wrath. If it's Wrath of the Skies, then hopefully I get to at least keep the Knight Errant if they don't have like some other way to make energy. And then if it's Supreme Verdict, then I keep the treasure and maybe like go for a Yawgmoth plus Young Wolf to draw a bunch of cards. As they go for Memory Deluge, that's kind of fine here. Generally, if your opponent's like casting their Memory Deluge on end step, maybe things aren't going too great. But actually, in this case, they're under a lot of pressure, so I'm not too worried about it. I'd have been much less happy to see a counterspell, for example. Because now they've got plenty of cards stripped. They're really far behind on tempo, so now we get to attack them for a bunch. Is this a Settle the Wreckage? What's going on? But basically, if they tap out for like some sort of interaction spell, then we just get to gem Yawg wants to draw a bunch of cards. But it actually just looks like they're going to not do anything. Well, in this case, I'm just gonna play 2 Marionette Apprentices. I'm not gonna play the one that makes a 1/1 because if either of these resolves, it's already a huge issue for my opponent. I might as well save the better one for later. But at this point, I'm worried about a Wrath, and both Wrath of Skies and Supreme Verdict, which I think the 2 Wraths that it like tends to run, are destroys. So if they Wrath here, they'll like just die to the Marionette. And I think going for the second Marionette is fine. They're gonna have to kill both of them to even be able to Wrath. So would not be surprised if like this got Galvanic Discharge, this got like Invert Polarity or something. I mean, like sure they probably don't have a counterspell. They would have countered the Knight Errant, but they've got to answer the second Marionette and the Wrath, or they're just gonna die. Cycling Rock Time. Okay, so they could just fold here. Like that is true. Like sometimes this can control, you make them have, and they just don't. But you know, even if they what is this? Even if they somehow manage to claw their way out of this, it's still going to be I'm still going to be able to go to the Yawgmoth. Go for the Yawgmoth. But I was gonna say, but then we got time walked by what looks like a really weird build of this guy. That's kind of cute. So you go for Shadow and then untap all your lands in this continuity. Yeah, I mean, I assume they're like a Lotus Field build then, probably with this continuity. Wow, interesting. I did not expect that. Oh my god, into temporary lockdown? I mean, I guess I'll sack the Tread. What is going on? Temporary lockdown? Seriously? That's really, really bad. Well, now I'm just dead. Because now they've just got so much mana. With this approach, I'm gonna try to force through a Yawgmoth, but huh. Well, that's kind of damn. Well, I don't know. I guess it makes sense for them to kill it there because they're gonna untap their lands. Yeah, I mean, we need to draw a land here, be able to play the Young Wolf, but they're just drawing 2 cards a turn. Are we getting Time Walk here again? Okay, I'm skipping. Wow, that's disgusting. That's just disgusting. I mean, we were just so far behind at that point. Like, they get another 2 draw steps. They can like cast Memory Lose main phase and untap all the lands, counter my 1 spell, and then it's just so over. Okay, well, we definitely want Haywire Might. We definitely want Juggernaut Peddlers. I think I want to cut down on like the go wide aspect. Eldarmic seems good. We go down like a Epheson's Pilgrim, maybe like an Innkeeper or something like that. What's going on? Yeah. Do I want Skyclave or Temporary Lockdown? Main deck Temporary Lockdown. I mean, it makes sense because of Boros Energy, I suppose. But I was really expecting more of the energy cards, and it looks like they're just playing Temur Rec. Temur Nexus, I guess, or whatever. A Reclamation Nexus deck, right? Because Din's Continuity is Nexus of Fate, and then Approach of the or whatever that is, the second Sun card, the 6-mana enchantment that they played is Reclamation, because that untouched your lands and that takes next turn. So you see where I'm going with this, I hope. Yeah, I think they're probably just bringing in more Wrath's removal. Basically, their whole deck is good against us because like we're worried about counter spells because of our high impact spells. We're also worried about Wraths because of our creatures and removal spells because our creatures. Just any interaction is good against us. But I expect that their interaction suite is going to be a little more refined. But I think this matchup is still probably going to be better post board because we have access to Juggernaut Peddler, which is a really strong card. It applies some pressure and disrupts their hand. I've had 4 of these in the sideboard of like every single creature combo deck that can cast it, and it's just such an excellent card. This hand is a little. I don't think I can keep this. Okay, missing land drops is fine in some match. If you go like turn 1 Epheson's Pilgrim, turn 2 Marionette, into a Knight Errant at some point, and then like it doesn't really matter. You just play Infinite Dork, so it doesn't matter that you have very few lands. But against control, the Dorks get Wrath, and you get left with nothing, and you're just in an insane amount of trouble. So that does not seem viable at all. This hand isn't great, but at least if we can get this Yawgmoth down, we can draw some cards, I suppose. And we can't really go to 5. Well, Pilgrim means we can get it down at turn 3 Yawgmoth here. So here's the thing, right? This actually isn't that bad if they don't have a removal spell for Pilgrim, B, a counter spell for Yawg. Okay, so they're running Cinderclasm. Cool. That's just great. I don't think I'm gonna chord here. I could chord X equals 1 for Young Wolf to try to set up a Yawgmoth, but that seems kind of bad to me because they pretty clearly just have a counterspell. So I think I'm going to be better off. I mean, I want to card for Eladamri. Could also chord for a Juggernaut Peddler end step. Maybe, yeah, I'll actually just set up a Juggernaut Peddler end step. Play the Innkeeper and pass, and then I can chord X equals 2 for a Juggernaut Peddler, and try to be able to force through this Yawgmoth. Is the goal anyway. With the Juggernaut Peddler, I could like try to save the chord for X equals 4, but if I wanted to do that, I would have attacked. We could Peddler now, but that doesn't seem very good because on their end step, if they counter it, then that's fine. We would have taken the counter spell with the Peddler either. It doesn't really matter. And it's like really bad if they have like 2 Wraths or something, and we just play into it by main phasing it. That seems quite bad. Oh, so yeah, let's go for a chord for X equals 2. And we'll see what they do. Okay, let's hit resolve. Not sure if that's a good or bad thing, but I guess we'll find out pretty soon. Are they killing the Peddler? I mean, surely not, right? What a weird play. So I don't know if they like know what the card does, but they would be better off killing the Young Wolf because that actually has an effect. And then they let us take the Gavac discharge. Yeah, what they should have done is probably just kill the Young Wolf and then maybe something else, and accept that your Shadow of the Second Sun gets turned into a Juggernaut. But either way, this Young Wolf should have died. And Juggernaut Peddler, we don't see the rest of her hand, but we do know it's lands because they reveal all the non-lands. Just like in a little alchemy quirk. And I'm gonna do this now because if they draw a removal spell and I go to do this line on their turn, then oh, well, hold on. Let me try to draw a land here. If I go for the line and they have a removal spell on their turn, they remove the Yawgmoth when the Yawgmoth is like floating or like in response to the thing, I won't be able to get all my card draw. And I was also gonna say that I could draw into cards I want to cast. And in fact, it seems that I have drawn into a second Yawgmoth, so now I get to just Yawgmoth's bargain it up, and now the game is basically over. That's what that's the little 2 best draws in my deck is like Greens versus Yawgmoth there. I don't think anything really beats that because that just lets me draw a ton of cards, and I'm gonna do this all in main phase because once they have interaction on their turn, if I try to go for it, they can interrupt. So I want to draw enough cards to like be pretty solid in where I am. Oh, I probably should have cut the Eldritch Evolution for game 2 because of counterspells. I generally cut it against decks that have counterspells. But yeah, now I'm just gonna draw cards until I have a pretty solid hand, and then I don't actually need to draw any more cards. And if they want to, respond, if they want to kill the Yawgmoth or go for a Wrath on their own turn or something along those lines, then I can like draw a couple more cards in response because I don't want to discard too many cards to hand size. Discard 2 of these lands. Despite like being painless, they're just strictly worse than Shocklands, and having a Mana Confluence, it can untap land that costs me only 1 life immediately, so that could come up. So no reason to really keep so many lands. Yeah, I was right about the Lotus Field. Let's see if they have discontinuity or they're just sacrificing lands. Consign to memory, sure. New Stifle, I guess. So I think one of these unknowns is a land and one of them isn't. Opponent scoops it up. All right, that's fair. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is probably just chord for an Innkeeper or something like that. Like I could like chord for an Innkeeper, play Young Wolf, and then not Marionette because with Innkeeper, I could just draw my deck without losing life and then get down to Marionette at some point. Doesn't matter. Whereas if I go for Marionette, I can actually kill them because they have more life than me. So like every time I second Young Wolf, they lose life, I lose life, but I'll run out first. So yeah, I think we want to cut the Eldritch Evolution and then maybe keep the 4 Night Errants, I guess. Just to have a bit more top end. It seems fine to me. Nothing too unexpected. They do have the energy cards, but it doesn't seem like they're very all in on the energy thing. Like that discharge is just a good card. So I don't think it's really worth bringing in the anti-energy card, the Sun Cleanser, because it's really bad if it's not like actually stopping them from doing a lot. This hand's pretty good. I mean, we have a mana dork. We have Young Wolf plus Yawgmoth jumps cards, and we have Eladamri to kind of bridge us into the mid game, I think. I'm probably just gonna play the Goose on 1, and then I'm not sure. I probably just want to play the Young Wolf on 2, and I could like play Eladamri on 3. Basically, I want to set it up where I have to deal with the Eladamri, and then I go for a Yawgmoth. So actually, drawing Hapatra means I'm just gonna play Hapatra. If they want to like 1-for-1 Hapatra, that's fine. I'm just spending my mana. Sure, they start scolding it. Like That Stern Scolding would have hit a Yawgmoth otherwise, so I'm really fine. Totally fine with this. I think, so the thing with playing Eladamri here is that, if I play Eladamri with no mana up, if there's a creature on top, then I won't be able to cast it right away. If I play it with mana up, then I can, like, cast the creature right away, so if they have a removal spell and not a counter spell, I can get some immediate value. That being said, I drew the Juggernaut Peddler, so I'm just gonna cast that, and then decide where to go from there. Either Previt, that's fine. I'm just gonna go for a Young Wolf. It does expose the Young Wolf to, a Wrath, but it has to be specifically, lockdown for me to get punished for that, because any other Wrath and just come back from the graveyard. And if they have a lockdown, yeah, there we go. I was gonna say we just want them to get it out of the way. Like, it's gonna get us at some point. Might as well be now. We can resolve this Eladamri. And I think it's better to get down Eladamri than Juggernaut Peddler because it's just more mana efficient. So here comes a Flage to kind of punish us for that. But so my point about mana efficiency is, like, look, now I get to play 2 things in a turn. It really sucks that we've just drawn Infinite Court of Callings that we can't really cast instead of lands, giving us a big tempo disadvantage, which is not where we want to be. But our opponent's hand's actually really bad, so they're playing Flage because they can stifle the sack trigger. But I'm just going to take the Memory of the Deluge and leave them with a bunch of dead consigned to memories and not enough cards to bring back Flage. And if they just kind of are sitting here not doing much, then I might be able to claw back into this game. So what I could do, well, there's their 4th land, so here comes a Juggernaut. Not the most editing thing in the world. What I could do here is, let's think about this. So I could Chord for X equals 1 to Haywire Might the temporary lockdown. I'll have to do it now because of Consign. They could stifle the Haywire Might trigger. So if I do that, and I have a bunch of creatures up with the Yawg, they can stifle the Young Wolf coming back, and they can stifle, like, 1 trigger of the Yawg, but I still get to draw a bunch of cards. That seems pretty good to me. An alternative, I could get a Juggernaut Peddler or something like that. I could draw a step, get a Juggernaut Peddler to make sure they can't stop the Yawg. But that doesn't seem amazing. I think I just want to Coco now for X equals 1. Also, the I can chump in. Actually, no, I won't chump in sack, but I will gain some life off the Haywire Might, which is relevant because Juggernaut's gonna be attacking me for a bit of damage, and while they are a control deck, so they're not gonna be really pressuring my left duel. My left duel is still a resource. And yeah, I feel pretty good about this. I mean, they have 1 turn to, like, rip a Wrath or a Counterspell, which would really kind of do a number on me. Particularly a Wrath. Counterspell wouldn't be too big of an issue because I have this Chord as well. But yeah, now actually we may be able to win. We'll be able to win through this. Let's tap the Pilgrims, I think. So I'm gonna go for a Yawgmoth. Then I could go for, I mean, Hapatra's gone. I could go for a second Young Wolf, but then that also gets stifled. Go for a Marionette. Don't really see a reason to do that. I think it might just be that I want to go for a let me attack for 3, actually. Might as well before I start sacrificing my creatures and they can't attack anymore. So I'm gonna actually, you know what? I can just pass. Can't I? Yeah, and so I waste their mana, and then if they want to go for this Shadow of the Second Sun, then I will be able to. Yeah, I don't want to sack Yawgmoth now because they'll be able to both counter the Young Wolf returning and replicate it to counter the Yawgmoth trigger. So I don't want to take 5 here because I do have a Yawgmoth in play, but I don't really care about the Peddler, and I'm not going to Chord this turn, so I'll just jump and sack. And then, okay, they don't do anything, which is fine. But basically, the way I took this line is if they go for the Shadow, then I can, while they're still tapped out, draw a bunch of cards with Young Wolf. But they just do nothing, which is fine by me. Let's see, we can sack the Young Wolf, they counter it, we play Young Wolf, we do it again, they do it again, and then we can Chord for a 3rd Young Wolf. And, or we could Chord for a Juggernaut Peddler, or we could just attack them for a bunch of damage and pass. Because we are winning this race. So we go, like, attack for 4. And basically the thing is, the issue here for them is that they can't really go for anything or they just lose. And we can just keep slowly accruing an advantage. And yeah, we have, I should have attacked the Young Wolf probably, because we have plenty of things to Chord with anyway. So yeah, I think I'll block with the Gilded Goose probably. Gilded Goose doesn't really matter. I'll make a food because I can set chord for X equals 1. I don't really see myself chording for X equals 2. And, you know, food's gonna be some nice life gain. Oh, Knight Errant is nice. That'll maybe force out a Stifle. So yeah, I think I'll just go for tap for Convoke, and then I'll tap white mana. Because I might want to just attack with the Pilgrim or block with it. I needed a white mana. I couldn't, yeah, that makes sense. So, now I can actually do the thing with 2 Young Wolves. I think it's probably worth it. So, well, maybe I should do it on their upkeep, actually. Or, I could just do it on, I just don't need to do anything. I could just pass. You know what? Yeah, I'll attack for 1. And look, if they have something they want to do, I'll block with a Knight Errant, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have left up the Abzan's Pilgrim and Chump, but I think trading off is fine. Don't really care about this Faithful Mending, and I don't feel like responding to it. If they escape Plage, they die. If they tap out for something, they die. If they don't do anything, I'll just continue kind of beating them down. Maybe I'm supposed to chord for X equals 1 for a 3rd Wolf here on end step if they don't do anything. I could definitely see that being a good line. Elegant Parlor, sure. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that, because at this point I could just kind of overwhelm their interaction. Yeah, let's chord for X equals 1. Let's see what they do about it. Preve. Sure. Wait, what did they, oh, they discarded the 2nd consign. So, we can actually just kind of do the thing now, I'm pretty sure. Let me test the waters. Are we good with that? Or do we have another consign? No, we're good with it, alright. In that case, I will simply chord for X equals 2, getting a Marionette, and we can gain enough life to kill them with this food token and all the cards we're going to draw. So I think this is better to just kill them right away. Could also attack with the Yawg or something like that, but I want to have all my mana available. I would not be shocked if they had a removal spell and were... Okay, so then now they have the consign. That's fine, because... I mean, I can't do anything about that, I suppose, so I'll just let it resolve. I'm still going to get to draw a ton of cards, and because I didn't get an Innkeeper, I actually get to, like, advance the game and deal them a bunch of damage rather than just gaining a bunch of life. And we do into an Innkeeper. I think they should probably still just die here. Since we can turn each creature into 2 draws, and a core just kills them, and we can do stuff like just Convoke and Knight Errant. Get more creatures down and go digging. So yeah, they should be dead to the Marionette here regardless. And this is kind of my point. There's a 2nd Marionette. That's going to lock things up for sure. Is that we just kind of don't need to do anything, and they're falling further and further behind, and then eventually, when they don't have the mana to act, we can just try to overwhelm their mana. Like they're just kind of forced to go for something, so they're casting the Faithful Mending and playing a tap land, and all the while, they can't do nothing before attacking them, but then as soon as they tap too low and spend their interaction, then we go for the combo, you know, end step chord, untap, chord again, and it's just too much, and we overwhelm them. So yeah, really weird game 1, but we took down the match. Alright, playing against a character from Song of Solomon. And this is an excellent hand. Got an early Knight Errant here. We're gonna go... It's probably Innkeeper plus Young Wolf on 2, so you can get more life from the Apprentice on 3, since it doesn't matter the order, we'll still have 5 creatures for the Knight Errant. So, we won't have a white creature. So we'll only be able to convoke with 4 creatures and use the, and use a land. Well, or Absence Pilgrim, I suppose. Which is a little unfortunate, but... do we want to get down the Gilded Goose? I think I want to get down the Young Wolf, since it looks like we're against Jeskai Control, and that means that we need to watch out for Wraths, and so Young Wolf is better into a Wrath. Of course, that being said, oh, interesting. I was going to say I'm going to play into the Wrath. I don't have to anymore. Okay, but I could... I think I want to play the Knight Errant, because If they have a counterspell for the Evo, it's so bad for me. I think I like play the Knight Errant, and then sure they reprieve it. That's fine. I think I'll wait until they Wrath and then try to go like Marionette into Evo. Though if they have Wrath of the Skies, I'll hit the treasure token, which is really bad for me because it'll really restrict my plays. But I'm not sure what else I can really do. Oh, Rope Limit is interesting. I think I. Oh. Okay, I think I'll just cast the Rope Line. Tapping this way. If it gets countered, I'll recast it. If it doesn't, then I'll just attack for 3, since this is a board that they kind of have to Wrath. And reprieve, sure. I mean, I'll cast it now. Like, keeping the treasure around when they have the Wrath isn't even going to be that good, and this just means that, like, if they Wrath, I can immediately rebuild a threatening board. I mean, I'm a land away from being able to go like, oh, they Wrath, I untap, play Marionette into Gilded Goose into Knight Errant. 3/1/1s, 4/1/1s, a 1/2, a 4/4. And then I can Evo for the Yawg to just kill them the following turn. So they'll actually be like under a lot of pressure. And I mean, you know, this is non-negligible. Like they kind of have to do something. I'll just attack them for 5, and then I can play the Marionette, which makes Wrathing really awkward because I'll take like 6 damage or something. And I'll be able to attack with the Young Wolf. So, you know, I could put them under some pressure here for sure. They're tanking here. I'm not sure why, but the fact that they evidently have a lot of choices is probably not very good for me. Either that or they're like missing their land drop and tilting, which is the dream. But you know, I've cast 2 reprieves, like it's all right. Main phase Galvanic Discharge, that's fine. It wasn't really doing a ton for me. Like this means I can't cast the Evo. This means I don't have a Wrath though. That's actually a really clear message. They don't have a Wrath, because otherwise I don't think I would be doing that. So I think I could just jam. Yeah, like I think I'm gonna cast the Marionette, and then if they let me, I'll cast the Knight Errant. Because I think this is like a sign of weakness that they would do that. Sure, reprieve, can't really do anything about that, and I'll just attack for 4. This isn't the worst exchange, but I think when they make a play like that, which like pretty clearly indicates that they don't have a Wrath and they need to like slow me down, then it's best to just go pedal to the metal. But I don't know. Trying to like play Gilded Goose so I can get my Knight Errant reprieved and get less damage and just does not seem viable. I think that Marionette was really my only option. Let's see what they find off this iteration. Hopefully nothing too good. Playing a bunch of tap lands in your Jessica control deck, like, I don't know, Thundering Falls and you don't get to play fetch lands. It's good with Flage, I guess, is the reasoning, but still. Oh, land is nice. All right, yeah, I think I just do the same thing again. I'll cast the Marionette, see what they do. If they counter it, then I can go Gilded Goose into Knight Errant. I think them being on 14, like the attack for 4 doesn't actually do a ton. Like if they were on 8, then sure, I'd probably rather attack than Convoke. But as things stand, well, that being said, if they're gonna let me have the Marionette, then I can just play the Gilded Goose, Convoke, attack them for 4. If they Wrath, then they'll go to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they'll be dead to the Knight Errant, I think. Or they'll be dead to the Young Wolf coming back. So I suppose like the what do I want to do? So I don't want to attack. Well, actually, I need to use the rope line. No, I don't need to use the rope line. Yeah. So I can attack. The issue is if I attack right now before playing the Knight, because if I attack the Lightning Helix, then would that change what I do? Like probably not. I think I'll just Convoke pre-combat. So like if I attack, then they can Lightning Helix one of my untapped creatures, and I won't be able to Convoke. So I think I do it pre-combat. And then, I mean, this is probably going to eat a counterspell. Oh, I guess that's a really good reason. Oh, no. Wait, that's a really good reason to attack first. I didn't even think of that. Oh, that's bad. Oh my god, okay. And they hit 2 Flages, which is probably like the only creature in their deck, aside from, I don't know, Snapcaster or whatever. Oof. Okay, well, I mean, if we resolve this even, we win, but that's not looking very likely. Then again, Sure. I mean, they're probably out of reprieves. They don't have an untapped land here, then they wouldn't be representing invert polarity. So like it would be, I don't know, Aether Spike or Normalize or whatever. Well, I mean, one can dream, right? One can dream. Interestingly, I went off the Marionette Apprentice. I mean, like, fair enough, I guess. If there was some way to make Marionette more threatening for this deck, then I think that would be kind of helpful. Because right now it is, like, a little mopey. Ooh. Ah. You know what? I think I'll go for the... No, I'll go for the Evo. Because the Evo, basically, if they have a counterspell, I'd rather the Evo get countered, I think. Because then, if they Wrath me, I'd rather have a Yawgmoth in hand than an Evo. The narrative. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. No way, there's spikes. Let's go. All right, let's cook. Oh, that's it. That's just game. Okay. Yeah, that worked somehow. They just ran out of counterspells. No, fair enough. Oh, my game just completely froze up. They just scooped the match. Okay. Well, I think we have enough time for another one then. Shall we queue up? Usually I only do 3 videos per video, or 3 matches per video, but we've had some matches on the shorter end, so I think we can squeeze in a 4th. Yeah, look, we got an opponent. This is perfect. I don't even need to cut out the middle part because we found an opponent so quick. All right, let's see what we're working with here. Against the Lurus deck, can't really mulligan this. So here's the thing, right? Boros Energy, you keep most hands that are functional, because like this hand, instantly rewarded, but like if we draw a Yawgmoth, a Knight Errant, an Eldritch Evolution, a Court of Calling, it just goes crazy. It's the perfect hand. You know, we've got a bunch of creatures and a Young Wolf in the mix, and that's gonna be incredibly difficult for opponent to beat unless they have like Raptor into something into Bombardment kind of thing. Bombardment is really like the way this goes wrong. Like yeah, sure, Johnny's good, but if they just like play a Fable on 3, I guess they're playing Lotus versions, so they can't. But like, you know what I mean? If they just like play some Dorks, then it's not gonna be enough. So I'm gonna play the Marionette, and then do I want Young Wolf or Gilded Goose? I mean, probably Gilded Goose, right? Because I'm not courting for Yawg, so it does actually mean that I'll be able to get down more things, right? I can go Young Wolf into Yawgmoth, as opposed to if I went Young Wolf, I'd only be able to play Yawgmoth and not also get down to Gilded Goose. So we'll see. We'll see what's up. All right. It also plays around them killing our Dork, which is nice. Though this is kind of a sign of weakness. Like you wouldn't do this if you had good plays. Yeah. Yeah, like that's really not an issue. I'll take my 2 here. What? Oh, they have energy. Okay, yeah, they're gonna give it flying. Sure. I mean, yeah. So we take our beats. I mean, that's not great. We take 5. That's kind of a lot. We can't block the Ajani though, because they just make the 2/1 anyway. But this isn't the worst. I mean, we don't get down Yawg, but we get to go Young Wolf, Absence, Pilgrim, and then depending on what they do, I can cord for an Innkeeper or a Hapatra or something on their end step. It's probably got me an Innkeeper. I'm gonna be low enough life total where even if I get a Hapatra, like if I whiff on my draws. Oh my god, that's like the one thing I didn't want to see. Come on, bro, come on. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of talking about. Like, if they don't have a bombardment, this is unlosable, and if they do, it gets pretty tricky. So, what are we doing? What are we doing? We need to cord for an Innkeeper so we can get down the Yawg. At least I'm glad they did this post-comp, or like before attacking, I suppose, because I can't block there. We need to get the Innkeeper so we guarantee being able to cast Yawg. And then, I mean, they're not going to be able to kill the Young Wolf, probably. Or at least start going to, like, this is reasonable. Like, this is playable. The biggest thing with the bombardment is if they go after their creatures, they can fizzle the draw by sacking it. Like, the fact they can kill creatures before Yawg comes down is so brutal, but then also the fact that they just... Yeah, they kill it. Yeah. But, like, also, this isn't the worst. Oh, they don't attack with God of Souls. Which I understand, it makes sense, but also it just means that we're under so much less pressure, which is good. I'm shocking the land. I think the treasure could easily be relevant. And I think we have to kill the 2/1 now. Man, maybe it's time to start maining Haywire Might because of Goblin Bombardment. Maybe. So we're gonna do this. And the idea is, I want so that they can't kill Yawgmoth, or at least can't easily kill Yawgmoth with the Johnny next turn. So I need to cut back on the number of creatures, but I can't wait till their turn to do it because they'll just stack the damage on the Yawgmoth. So let's see what they ping here. I would go my face because, I mean, what, you kill the 1/1, I'll just sack it on the Young Wolf. You can't really kill the Marionette unless you sack the Guide of Souls, and I'm just not going to kill the Guide of Souls. So this indicates to me that they are interested in sacrificing this Guide of Souls. I'll put a -1/-1 counter on it with Young Wolf once. I'll do that like once to try to dig for a 1-drop, but I won't go any further than that. So if they want to sack it to kill him in Marionette, that's totally fine by me. I would love to see that, actually. Yeah, I think I just can't go any further. I want to be able to kill creatures in response to the Ajani activation, and I want to preserve my life total somewhat, and also Marionette, they're gonna get burnt out by it. Like, they're actually kind of close to just... Because, like, here's the thing, right? Every creature is 2 because I get to sack it and then also get a Death Trigger out of Young Wolf. And then this is 1. So, you know, Voice of the Blessed. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. I want to respond to the trigger so I can do... The issue here is... No, that's actually kind of reasonable. Okay, so this requires me losing my Young Wolf, but preventing the Voice of Blessed from going is, I think, a pretty big game, and it'll make the Ajani worse. Oh, and there's Young Wolf. I mean, they can, yeah, this is such a difficult position, though, because they can still just kill the Yawgmoth. But, also, one of my hangups was that they could sack the Guide of Souls to ping the Young Wolf in response to me targeting it, and so then it would just die. But then I kill the Guide of Souls, and then they can't kill, I don't think Ajani. Like, now the issue is I do all this, but it doesn't actually stop the Ajani from killing the Yawgmoth because they can deal 2 and then 1 more, so we need to find another threat. Bro, Bombardment is so absurd. One of the other decks I'm working on, Sneak Peek, is Rakdos/Mardu Bombardment, and it's so strong. The card's just so busted. They're going to hit me to 2 here. Yeah, we're going to need something pretty good to get out of this. Sure. Yeah, it's not going to do it. Bombardment, literally, like, hard carried them. That is what it is. So, let's see. Haywire am I? Plague Mare, Fatal Push, Sun Cleanser. And I think we board out, like, a Knight Errant, an Eldritch Evolution, a couple Marionettes, and then, like, one of each Dork, and 3rd Marionette, and run it like that. Marionette isn't as good, because, like, if I just get really far ahead, like, wipe their board and get a bunch of life with Innkeeper, it doesn't matter if they're dead or not. They're still gonna lose. And, it's not, like, super important for grinding them out. It's just the most cuttable card. Cutting down a couple Dorks because I am, like, lowering the threat density of the deck, so I want to cut Dorks. And I also have other 1-mana plays with Fatal Push, so it's not, like, so much of an issue that I, like, am potentially not having a good turn 1 play because I also have Fatal Pushes. That's what our hand looks like. Yeah, I mean, can't really mulligan this one. Do I want to lead on an Overgrown Tomb in case they play an Ocelot Pride? Actually, I'll probably just Fatal Push, like, literally anything they play. Ocelot Pride is particularly dangerous because if I go Sun Cleanser and they kill it somehow, then they can start triggering it. But, like, I'll kill the Soul Warden. This is the life gain version. So it makes Sun Cleanser a little worse, but still reasonable. I could just play Hapatra. But that's kind of stupid. Because there's so many creatures that, like, Hapatra is cute because if I attack, I get the trigger. But it's also really bad because if they somehow, like, so many other plays invalidate it, and I'd rather get Sun Cleanser down now before they can, like, start casting their Amped Raptors or whatnot and getting value that way. Yep. Although I will say, like, Bombardment when they don't actually have creatures in play is a lot less threatening. I'm gonna shock in the Fatal Push. Reasoning is, if they play, like, one creature, I can Fatal Push it. And then go into a Knight Errant. Soul Warden, sure. Voice the Blessed. Yeah, so I'll Fatal Push the Soul Warden. And here's the thing, right? They can kill my Hapatra, but that requires them to also sack the Voice. Or they don't, they just ping me face, and then I go Knight Errant, and then I can set up a Yawg. Either way, it's not a great exchange for them. I'm a little surprised they do this. Well, I guess it's kind of the same, because they would have to trade off with the Hapatra in combat, but then you don't get to go face. Yeah, this is fine. But this basically turns the Fatal Push into a 2-for-2, and it's awkward with the Knight Errant, I will admit, but letting the Voice get out of control also seems quite bad, and I am somewhat fine trading 1-for-1 here. Fate of Souls, yep. Bring Lures to hand, please. Nothing too scary, just Lures to hand. There are, like, you're gonna go to 12 here. Oh, Voice of Blessed. Yeah, that's an issue. God, bro, I hate Bombardment so much. I guess it's not like the... I'm not doing anything here. I guess that's not the end of the world, because I have this Sun Cleanser. They're never actually gonna give it flying via energy, but Voice of the Best will eventually just get flying anyway. I don't think I need a second Sun Cleanser, so I'll just get an Avacyn's Pilgrim, and then we can Chord for Yawgmoth here next turn, which is going to be good. Just Loopmonger. Okay, just don't hit a Knight Errant. I had that happen to me earlier, and I just got demolished. Oh, discarding Galvanic Discharge. Right, because of the Sun Cleanser. Let's see what they hit. Let's do a good one. Oh, okay. Alright, I mean, that's their best hit by so much. That's kind of absurd. At least they can't play another creature this turn. That's actually huge. But that is an extremely threatening follow-up. They get to go Ajani, make the Voice of the Blessed flying in Vigilance, right? And then also flip the Ajani. Cannot be having that under any circumstances, that's for sure. So what do I do? I don't want to kill anything in response. So I think my first priority is just killing the Guide of Souls. Is it? Yeah, I think it is. I don't want to pass. Do I? No, because I can draw things. Like, if I just draw, like, oops. If I just, like, draw an Innkeeper as, like, something I can cast, it's just so good for me. There's the Innkeeper, I suppose. Yeah, I'll go ahead and not finish off the Guide of Souls. I go after the Lootmonger. There's a world here where I want to proliferate with Yawg to put -1/- encounters on everything. And then I want to, like, leave everything on 1. Ooh. Ooh. You know what? I just hate that they can ping the Young Wolf. Maybe that's a reason not to leave things on 1. I really hate that they can do that. If this Blooming Marsh was an untapped land, that would have been much better. I think we have to just do this. And they might not know. It's, like, kind of unintuitive that if they ping it in response, then the Young Wolf will just die, because I think it, like, dies with a +1/+1 counter on it still, and so for some reason that, like, yeah, I mean, I could Chord for another Young Wolf. Is she not untapped land? I don't wanna, yeah, I wanna draw cards, so I can get down this Innkeeper and then Chord? Like, that seems good. Please, 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 please. I mean, I don't have that many untapped lands, to be fair. Like, I'm running, like, 10 fast lands or something. don't think I need the Sun Cleanser at this point. I mean, the Amptraptor and the Guide of Souls. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm supposed to pass? I need to be able to kill the Ajani. But then I need to kill the Guide of Souls as well. Yeah, I have to kill the Guide of Souls. So I suppose I'll sack the Knight Errant. The body doesn't actually matter that much here. Please, bro, please. Give me a 1-drop on untapped land. I'm begging. So where do they throw the ping? Probably in my face, right? Yeah. Ugh. So what's the plan now for my opponent is the question. I could do some blocking and not lose too much life, and then kill the Ajani in response to it flipping. Amptraptor isn't going to do anything. I think this is like somewhat of a reasonable position for me. Like this is definitely workable. If I untap with all my mana, I can start jamming these like rope lines into Prosperous and Keepers. I'm going to have so much to work with. And if they want to kill the Yawg, that's going to take their whole board. Yeah, they're going face because they just evidently don't want to do that. Okay, feel so bad, but I think I need to Cortex equals 1 for a Young Wolf. So I can actually kill the Ajani, because I don't want to let them have energy. And this means that I'll actually have blockers. Oh, I'm probably dead here, actually, aren't I? Yeah. I don't know. I think I just didn't leave myself with outs. I don't think I had outs necessarily. Because I only have one blocker. I can't actually, like, use this Young Wolf to untap the other Young Wolf, really, without losing too much life. If I take 4, pings the Young Wolf. What? That doesn't work. That's... Now I might have a chance. I'm just too low with this Goblin Bombardment. Oh, weird. But, I mean, I guess I can still play the Amptraptor. They still get another body. I assume that's the plan, right? Amptraptor... Are you serious? Yeah. So, Ajani is just the absolute MV... I guess not Ajani. Bombardment is the absolute MVP here. That's the takeaway, is that Ajani is good, but Bombardment is like the way that they win this matchup. And that's one of my issues with this deck. Which, if it's fixable, like, losing the Boros aggro matchup to Bombardment and losing to Jeskai Control because it's Jeskai Control. Though ironically, I just beat Jeskai Control and lost to Bombardment, which is the other way around. It should be the other way around, but anyway, Bombardment, such an absurd card into Yawgmoth. So that's like the way you lose the matchup. But like both those games, they just don't have the Bombardment. We win pretty easily. And then I think if our draws had just been a little less clunky that turn, we would have been able to fight through the Bombardment. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the games. I think this deck is really strong. If I had to submit a deck tomorrow, it would probably look something like this. Just because it's just really strong. It's my fallback, basically. I'm gonna try a bunch of different stuff, and then if it doesn't work out, then I know that I still have a really strong deck in this. Boros matchup probably needs a little tweaking, but other than that, I mean, I like this list. I like the marionettes. They've been good. There's also definitely merit to the life gain package, but I think at the moment I prefer marionettes. But I would try it both for yourself. You're gonna play the deck, and you can afford the wild cards. So yeah, make sure to check out my coaching if you want help preparing for the qualifier. Link in the description to my Patreon where you can get your first session, and then just through DMs. You can get the rest of them. And yeah, also make sure to like, subscribe, etc., etc. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.